You hear it before you feel it. A thin whine circling your ear in the dark. You swat. You miss. The mosquito is already gone, drifting off into the shadows of your room like it has all the time in the world. And here is the strange part. It does. Mosquitoes are among the slowest flyers in the entire insect world, drifting along at barely 1.5 miles per hour. A monarch butterfly can outrun one. A determined toddler can outrun one. So what if that changed? What if evolution had handed the mosquito a different set of wings, wings built for speed instead of stealth? You would assume the world gets more dangerous. You would assume disease spreads faster, bites multiply, swatting becomes useless. All of that is true. But the real story underneath it is stranger than simple math. Because speed does not just change how fast a mosquito moves, it changes what kind of animal a mosquito is allowed to be. Start with why mosquitoes are slow in the first place. It is not a limitation. It is a strategy. Researcher Richard Bomfrey at the Royal Veterinary College in London spent years filming mosquito wings with high-speed cameras, and what he found in 2017 surprised even him. Mosquito wings beat over 800 times per second, faster than almost any other insect on record. But each beat covers a tiny arc, a clipped, narrow flick, instead of a wide, powerful stroke. That combination, extremely fast but extremely short, is what keeps a mosquito's whole body moving so slowly through the air. Why would evolution build something so oddly specific? Because a mosquito's real skill is not speed. It is precision landing on a target that can feel a breeze and swing a hand. Slow, controlled flight lets it approach skin, like a falling leaf, sensing warmth and carbon dioxide the whole way in, correcting its path in midair. A fast mosquito would announce itself. Air displaced quickly against skin triggers nerve endings before contact even happens. Slowness, it turns out, is camouflage. Now imagine a mutation strips that away. Imagine a lineage of mosquito evolves wing muscles built more like a horsefly's, capable of covering 4 or 5 times the distance per second. The first thing that happens has nothing to do with humans at all. It happens in the air, among predators. Dragonflies catch roughly 95% of the prey they chase, according to research out of Harvard tracking their flight prediction systems, and mosquitoes are an easy meal precisely because they are slow and predictable. A faster mosquito escapes more dragonflies. It escapes more bats, whose echolocation is tuned to intercept exactly this kind of gentle, floating target. Suddenly the insect that spent millions of years as background snack food for an entire food web becomes much harder to catch. Populations of dragonflies, swallows, and insectivorous bats, species that rely heavily on mosquitoes as a caloric base, would begin to shrink. You would not notice it in a week or a year. You would notice it in a decade, when the ponds near your house sound quieter at dusk than they used to. But the predator story is only the opening move. The real transformation happens in how a fast mosquito interacts with you. Jeffrey Riffle, a sensory biologist at the University of Washington, has spent years mapping exactly how mosquitoes track humans down. They follow a plume of exhaled carbon dioxide from up to 50 meters away, then switch to body heat and skin odor. Once they get close, refining their approach the entire time using tiny course corrections. That entire system depends on time. A slow approach gives a mosquito room to sample the air again and again, adjusting like a sailor tacking into wind. Speed it up, and something counterintuitive happens. The insect gets to you faster, yes, but it also gets less accurate, closing distance before it has fully confirmed the target. You would actually feel more mosquitoes bump into you by mistake, brushing an arm or a bag before finding real skin. Annoying, but not yet dangerous. The danger comes from what speed does to the numbers. Here is where the story turns genuinely unsettling, and it comes from math nearly a century old. In the early 1900s, physician Ronald Ross, who won a Nobel Prize for identifying how mosquitoes transmit malaria, worked out the basic relationship between mosquito behavior and infection spread. Decades later, epidemiologist George MacDonald refined it into what is now called the Ross-MacDonald model, still taught in public health programs today. One detail from that model matters more than any other here. The rate at which mosquitoes bite does not just add to disease transmission. It multiplies it, because a mosquito has to bite once to pick up a pathogen and again to pass it on. Double the biting rate and transmission potential does not double, it can nearly quadruple. A faster mosquito reaches more hosts per day, refuels faster, and returns to biting sooner after each blood meal digests. Malaria, dengue, West Nile virus, all of them ride on exactly this cycle. So the frightening version of this alternate timeline is not simply more mosquito bites. It is outbreak curves bending upward faster than any current model predicts, in regions that today sit just on the edge of manageable risk. And yet, faster flight is not free. Nothing in biology is. Florian Muiters, an aerodynamics researcher at Wageningen University who worked alongside Baumfrey on that 2017 flight study, calculated just how much energy a mosquito burns relative to its size simply hovering at its current slow pace. It is already expensive. Insect flight muscle is some of the most metabolically demanding tissue in the animal kingdom, and a mosquito's body carries barely enough fuel reserve to make a blood meal necessary every few days. Push that wing beat into a faster, wider stroke and the energy cost does not creep up gently. It spikes. A faster mosquito would need to feed more often just to stay airborne, which sounds like it only makes the disease problem worse, and in one sense it does, but it also shortens lifespan. Burn fuel faster, and you die younger. Some populations would trade a longer, cautious life for a short, aggressive one. Others might not survive the trade-off long enough to reproduce at all. Evolution rarely lets a creature keep every advantage at once. Wind becomes the next problem, and it is a bigger one than it sounds. A slow, light-bodied insect is already at the mercy of moving air, which is why mosquito activity drops sharply whenever wind speeds climb past a gentle breeze. Add faster wings without adding mass, and you get an insect that can technically move quickly through still air, but gets hurled off course the moment weather turns. Fields, open water, coastlines, all the places with the steadiest wind, would become nearly uninhabitable for this faster mosquito. Instead, it would crowd into sheltered, wind-blocked spaces, dense neighborhoods, narrow alleys between buildings, the inside of parking garages and covered porches. Your daily exposure would not spread out evenly across a hotter, buggier planet. It would concentrate exactly where humans already cluster together, in the built spaces that block the wind for both of you. Zoom out far enough, and this single change to wing muscle reshapes an entire ecological relationship that took millions of years to settle into balance. Mosquitoes are not just pests. Their larvae filter nutrients in standing water. Their bodies feed fish, frogs, birds, and bats, and their sheer biomass props up food webs across nearly every wet habitat on Earth. A faster, harder to catch, harder to model mosquito does not just threaten human health. It destabilizes the very system that currently keeps mosquito populations from spiraling out of control in the first place, because so many of their natural predators would suddenly be underfed. Fewer dragonflies means more mosquito eggs surviving to hatch. More mosquitoes hatching means more biting, and more biting, as Ross and McDonald's math already told you, does not scale gently. It compounds. So the next time one drifts past your ear in the dark, slow enough to dodge, slow enough to hear coming, remember what that sluggish little whine is actually protecting you from. It is not weakness. It is restraint built by millions of years of trial and error, a fragile equilibrium between predator-prey and disease that depends entirely on one insect never learning to fly fast. You swat, you miss. And somewhere in that miss is the quiet, unglamorous reason your world still works the way it does.